G'day Tiger fans, my name's Michael Moss, independent Tasmanian Tiger searcher, researcher on mainland Australia only since 1995. Wow, another massive area of mainland Australia has been screened. I've just found out a couple of hours ago. It's in Queensland, the Burnett Regional Group. So I sent them an email about 3 weeks ago because I know EnviroDNA did some work for them a couple of years ago, and I just double checked to see if the Tasmanian Tiger was on the environmental DNA screening list, because they screened their catchment twice in 2022 and 2023, this group. And I'll go into that, to their website in a minute more, but this is a reply I got today to the email I sent requesting more information. Okay, your environmental eDNA survey, some questions. So that was basically in reply to what I said. From Laura Matthews. Good afternoon, Michael. Thank you for contacting BMRG via our website inquiry form. EnviroDNA screened for all vertebrates in their database using a metabarcoding approach. So everything they had, basically EnviroDNA, they screened for. Thylacinus cynocephalus was not explicitly requested by BMRG, and none were returned for our region. Our current data set covers the following locations within the BMRG area. Now there's a map there, but I'll go to a better map than that. So there's, underneath that reply is my email of 3 weeks ago, just a basic request. So, and it just finishes, please advise if I can assist any further. Kind regards, BMRG, Ecosystem Resilience, Laura Matthews, Office Administration Manager. It's 160 Hughes Road, Bargara, Queensland, 4670, which is in the Bundaberg area. I had a look. So yes, so fantastic news, another huge area this time in Queensland. Now, I'll just go to the map here. I'll try to go to the map. It's not playing ball. Here we are. I've got it, as you can see, it's a huge area of central coastal and inland Queensland, which is on the east coast of Australia, state of Queensland, mainland Australia. It stretches towards the back end, if you like, of the inland from the Sunshine Coast. Okay, the southernmost point is Maleny. Okay, if you're interested in this, Maleny, and it goes right up the coast towards into the Gladstone catchment. Massive area, and inland as well, and it comes across here to the top of southeast Queensland, if you like. This is inland. Bargara is just north of a place called Chinchilla. Now down here below in Queensland, below this Murray-Burnett region, is the Murray-Darling Basin catchment of Queensland, which was about 150,000 square kilometres. Now remember, I've got another video up, and they screened for Tasmanian Tiger in the Murray-Darling catchment through 4 states, which is about 14% of the total landmass of Australia. That's how big that catchment is, and they screened twice. Now I'll go to on their website, published March the 10th, 2023. This will tell you more about what happened, just briefly here. Burnett Regional Group staff recently completed a second round of water sampling to map the region's environmental DNA, eDNA. Now remember what you just saw in that first email, right? Basically, they screened for Tasmanian Tiger twice in this catchment. It was 120 locations, okay, And this group is fantastic. This is the way conservation in Australia, if you go to their website, and I'll put up in the index the link to their, well, I'll put this letter up so you can go to their website, and this is the future of conservation in Australia. And basically they did a world first regional scale environmental account that includes native vegetation and native fauna, and they did a big, twice, 22, 23 as I said, environmental DNA screening, included Tasmanian tiger in it. So it just goes to explain how it works. 120 sites across the region were sampled to match the 22 data 2022. It doesn't say whether they're the same areas within the region, but it probably was. Okay, EnviroDNA, remember that was the company that I got the Tasmanian tiger on the list. I supplied a Tasmanian tiger hair. And getting that on their list, a species list, means that organisations like this can screen for Tasmanian tiger DNA through water samples. Cut a long story short, fantastic lady, laboratory expert, extracted DNA from the hair I supplied them, Tasmanian tiger hair, to create a probe to test that it worked, and it did work. And they're set up there. So basically, Sue Song was her name. In Melbourne, she's still there. You see the website, EnviroDNA. Okay, now, right, future plans. They've already done it twice, remember. Now, future plans include comprehensive DNA across the Mary River catchment in conjunction with conventional testing methods to map threatened species. So it sounds like they're going to be doing some even more of these. Okay. Now, the reason this was on the list, this was the Australian government program. So once again, it's the Commonwealth that's sponsoring this. It's not the state of Queensland who are useless. It's not even using the technology. It's the Commonwealth government. Same with the Murray-Darling Basin. Remember, that was Commonwealth government funded. So the Australian government's just basically paying EnviroDNA to do every species on their list to get screened, which is fantastic because the Tassie tiger's on the list. Now, finally, on this news, in this news clip on their news release on their website, finally it says BMRG recently completed the world's first regional scale environmental account, essentially a 5.6 million hectare stocktake of the region's natural assets such as vegetation cover, plants and animals. 5.6 million hectares, folks. That obviously is an enormous area. Look at this. Here's back to the map here. Enormous. And remember down here, down south of it is the Murray-Darling, which was screened twice. So that's, just to give you an overview now, that's screened twice. So is the Murray-Darling. Screened twice. Tassie tiger. Also, the Melbourne water catchment in the Melbourne, Victoria, screened twice for Tasmanian tiger. And the state of New South Wales, the only state that's actively using screening for Tasmanian tiger. So I don't know where they're screening, but wherever they're using environmental DNA, they're screening, which is great news. So that's a huge area of Queensland covered now. So what's left of Queensland really that hasn't been screened for Thylacine is sort of the edge of the city of Brisbane and the back, in the edge and the coastal area of Sunshine Coast and Gold Coast, Western Queensland and the top end of Central and North Queensland. They're the ones that haven't been done. So a large chunk now has been surveyed for Tasmanian tiger in Queensland. So that's the breaking news, folks. And I'll just quickly go back to this response that I got here. And Thylacinus cynocephalus, by the way, that's the scientific name of the Tasmanian tiger. Okay, they didn't request it, but it didn't matter because EnviroDNA, as she says, screened for all vertebrates in their database using a metabarcoding approach, which is just getting everything all at once sort of screened. And the Tassie tiger's on the list. And they also said, and none were returned for our region. So what she meant by that was that no DNA of Thylacinus cynocephalus was returned. Well, we would have known that if they'd have got Tasmanian Tiger DNA. And just finally, folks, here's the, let's see if this comes up. This here, just to give you an idea, this is the Queensland side of the Murray-Darling, right? That's the Murray-Darling Basin, Queensland. Now up at the top and to the right, that's where this here starts. Okay, here. Now, but by the way, it's interesting because Gympie is covered, which is, there's been alleged sightings in Gympie. Further down towards the coast, there's a place called Buderim, which isn't covered here, but this backs onto Buderim. And I took out a freedom of information request about 20 years ago to reveal alleged sightings of Tasmanian tigers, including by a taxi driver at Buderim. Buderim's on the coast there, the Sunshine Coast, and there was an animal getting around called the Buderim beast. I've actually visited that area before. So, fantastic. That covered the back of it. So if there were Tasmanian tigers there, they would have been covered. They would have been coming from this area inland. Okay, so this has really covered that hot spot because it's just a residential area, Buderim. So this screening here, it has really basically killed off the Buderim beast, I'd say, as far as being a Tasmanian tiger. Anyway, thank you for your interest. Have a nice day.